Well, hello. Today is the third Sunday, so it's when we would normally be meeting for Bereavement Cafe at St Andrews. So I'm recording a reflection again, as I've been doing throughout the lockdown time. Now, with the nicer weather coming, I've been able to get out and about a bit, and I've sort of driven out to the levels, and many of you who know me know that actually I can't actually do a lot of walking because of my fibromyalgia. So I take a seat in the back of the car and sit down and read and enjoy the time, have some time reflecting. Well, on this one occasion, I'd parked up by the end of a little lane on the levels, and it was a bit like a footpath, perhaps wide enough for a small farm vehicle. And I decided I would try and have a little walk down this lane. It was a beautiful sunny day, so I thought I'd try having a walk. Now, when I first went in there, it was nice and wide and sunny, and I carried on and then realised that underneath the ground was getting quite a bit, sort of a lot of ridges, a lot of stones, a bit more difficult to walk on. And I carried on and I looked behind and I couldn't see where I'd come from anymore. But I carried on, and then there were parts that were rather muddy, and I had to try and avoid those, then boggy. Then it would go straight for a little while, then turn, and then there'd perhaps be a bit where I'd put my foot down, but actually it was mossy, so it went further than I expected. And then I'd stop, and there were places that were nice to stop, had some dog roses growing in the hedgerows and some lilies in the green either side. And then there were parts where the grass got quite long and the path narrowed and there were thorns each side. And where the grass was long, I was nervous because I thought, well, what's in that long grass? This time of year, could there be something nasty like a snake or a rat or something that's come out of the green? So I was a little bit nervous about that. But I was determined to keep going. So I carried on, and then it would open out again, and there'd be a nice bit. And then just up and round the corner, I had this sort of sense of I've just got to get round there, just got to get round there. So I came to the end of the footpath, and I was sat by the river then. There was somewhere to sit, and I was next to the river that was rather beautiful, and with flowers, wildflowers all around, and a heron going overhead. And that was a place of refreshment and rest before I continued to take myself back to the car. And it got me reflecting about, I'd chosen to go on that little journey, but actually in grief we go through a journey that we don't choose, and it's one we'd rather avoid, and it's unfamiliar to us as well, and the terrain seems to move and change, just like my terrain did. Just when I thought, oh, I've got this, if I walk over on this side here, I won't fall into the muddy bits. Well, that would suddenly change. And I think our journey of grief changes as well. And there are times when we're able to stop and get our breath, and perhaps there's something that's really encouraging, like the lovely dog roses I saw that reminded me of going on nature walks with my dad when I was a little girl. And perhaps there are times when we can really sit and have some respite, as I did by the river, to recharge my batteries, as it were, to go back. And there are times like that for us in grief as well. But ultimately, we know that we need to keep walking. And sometimes when we look behind us, we realise how far we've come, little by little, a step at a time. And often we're watching our step for the unexpected that still manages to catch us out. And I was really glad to get back to my car, to be able to sit down, to be able to have a drink of water, and to sit and reflect. And I was very glad to be able to talk to friends again later, much as I'd doing now. So with Bereavement Cafe, as we're now online, but while we're not meeting, we'll continue to be online even when we can meet again. What I'd say is I'd encourage you to go to the Facebook Burnham Bereavement Cafe online and just share any thoughts or reflections that come up to you, because we are a support group, and the support comes from one another. We support one another, and there are times in our life when we think of something and it just clicks with somebody else. And there's some times when maybe it's not for that particular person, but that's fine as well. So just, I feel a little bit vulnerable sharing something like that, because some of you might be thinking, what is she going on about? But that's fine, because someone else might think, do you know, that helped a little. So that's what we're all about. It's a safe space. We can be vulnerable. We can encourage one another. So, thinking of you all. God bless.